Hey guys, Sean here. Back again, going over the next part of our painting Dark Vengeance tutorial, going over painting the Dark Angels, which we primered last time, which I'm actually impressed turned out really well, considering I have never used the gel, whatever this was, the MSP Master Paint series, that stuff. Actually turned out rather well, and one of the things I like about it is how when you're spray painting you actually end up missing bits and pieces of your model. Seeing as it's already put together, you'll miss like the crotch, behind the gun, things like that. When you try to go over it with spray paint you can end up losing some detail, but just going over with the brush looks like I pretty much got everything 100% first try, which I'm not used to, but it's pretty nice. And that was my phone. Just a second. Now, one of the questions I've gotten before, and many times, is there are some modelers out there, primarily people who do models and not really use them as tabletop. I'm not really going to get into why I prefer being able to do tabletop. That's a whole other story. Anyway, a lot of people have been asking me, why put your models together already? Why build these guys when you can just paint some of these bits before you actually put them on the model? And that's true. You can do that, however I'm impatient, and 99% of the people who buy Warhammer are. You want to be able to get your army, build it, and play with it. Painting, while awesome, not really a necessity when actually playing the game. So the main thing is to get your guys together, so this is why I show people how to paint once things are together. Therefore you can build your army, play with it right away, and then paint it at your leisure. So first things first, we have our green here. We're going to spend some time, shake that up real quick. Don't need to stir it. That's one thing I do like about acrylics. Oils, you kind of have to stir. Acrylics, you can just shake up. So, roll clip of me shaking everything up. Before we get actually into using this, I'm going to put this down for a second. I'm going to show you the brushes that I use. I use two different brushes, primarily for almost everything I do in regards to my smaller models. I use a 10/0, which you can find it's labeled on pretty much all brushes. I don't know if you all can see that right there. It's real small and it's dark. So it says 10/0. You know how you're not supposed to have a 0 as your denominator? Well, you do when it comes to brushes. So that's a 10/0, and then I have a 20/0. So I don't know how well you can see this, but it is twice as small, which, you know, judging by the numbers is how it should be, but there you go. Primarily use the 10/0. Really the only thing I use the 20/0 for is going to be the eyes, because they're just so hard to hit, and these small sections or anything that's super detail work, but we really shouldn't be running into anything on these regular guys that really require this. So this is basically my eyes brush, so there's that. So we're primarily going to be sticking to this to give you an example of how small these brushes are. Here's the guy here. Here's the example of the brush. The brush goes about halfway up his shoulder pad. So that's approximate size there. That's about halfway up his shoulder pad. And as far as width goes, about half the width of the gun on a bolter. So about half that width. That's about the size that I typically go for. And that's actually a pretty good comparison. So there's that. So I got my guys out, got my paint. One thing to keep in mind when you're doing paint, when you pop this open, yeah, this one should have it even though I've never used it before. See this here up top? It's got this little bowl here. When you shake it up, there's going to be paint up there, just a little bit. And that's the paint you're going to be using to paint your model. Don't stick your brush all the way down inside here. You shouldn't have to do that. What ends up causing, or what the problem with that is, when you go all the way down inside, you really can't see how deep your brush is actually going into the paint. So the problem is you end up with a lot of paint on your brush. You spend up a lot of time wiping paint off your brush because you're smothering all of your detail. Don't do that. So you want to use just what's up there at top. I mean, heck, even when it sits up here like this, you can still just get in there and grab it. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Primarily with this green, what we're going to do, we're basically going to be covering most of the model, pretty much everything. And we're just going to paint it all over again. We're not going to do the eyes yet. Alright, I lied. We're going to do the eyes right now, so actually, I'm going to switch. If I'm going to stick to my own gun, what I'm saying, I'm going to have to do that. So we're going to switch to red real quick. Now the reason is, like I explained in the previous tutorial, is that you want to go for the deepest area first. And the eyes, they're deep set in there. So if I painted this guy green all over, went to red, screwed up, I'd be going back to my green again just to cover it up, and that's a real pain. So we're going to avoid that. I'm going to go ahead and do everybody's eyes, and then from there we're just going to go ahead and move right on into our greens, and we'll get that up. Because green is so prevalent in all these guys, I may actually end up moving to a bigger brush, so let's grab that. So because I'm pretty much going to be switching to a little bit larger brush, mostly for coverage and getting, you know, most of it covered. I'll be avoiding the gun, probably avoiding the backpack, to be honest. I'd like it black, keep that, but mostly stick to just the armor being green. We're going to be using this brush instead. Now this one I don't think has okay, it's a number 4 brush, but it's flat. So it really doesn't look flat to you guys, but it used to be a flat brush. It's mostly just for coverage. So, you know, use something flat and long for coverage. If you're using something round, what's going to happen, you're going to lose a lot of paint on one side, and when you go back the other way, it's going to be uneven. With a flat brush, it's going to be even, and then, you're going to have approximately the same amount of paint on the other side. I didn't really describe that 100%, but you get the idea, or at least I hope you do. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started on the eyes. I'll move the camera down, and we'll just start work on it right away. Alright, so now we're going to be working on the eyes real quick. So I'm just taking my 20-0 brush, 20 over 0, and just getting a little bit of paint. Just a little bit. I doubt you guys can see this. Let's get a point where you can see it. Focus, 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 focus. I don't think you're going to be able to see it. Hey, barely any on there. Almost nothing. Just enough to get the job done. So we're going to take that, we're going to stick it right up in there. It's almost not thick enough to get our color out. So I'm going to lay it on a little thick, almost dab it. A couple of these eyes are going to look kind of sloppy to get. You see the red already on that guy. We'll just lay it on thick, make it look like crap, and we'll come back and make it look better. As we see, our guy's got this lovely red eyes going on here. So we just went ahead and stuck that right there in the visor. So close up our red. Yeah, we've got other things on the model that are red, but they're more towards the exterior, so we're not even going to really worry about that right now. So just taking a moment to clean off the brush, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to our green. So I have the green on my brush here. We're going to go ahead and start covering this guy. Now you don't need to worry about getting paint on the base itself. I mean, whether you're going to put terrain on it or just paint it black, either or, and you can just cover that up. You don't need to worry about things getting too specific or fancy. There we go. I need a vest on getting more light in here. You guys probably can't even see most of this. There we go, grab this guy. Nope, getting paint everywhere. So there we go, we've got our green all over, and I made the mistake, honestly. I wasn't thinking, and I painted over his eyes, because, you know, why did I even bother doing them in the first place if I'm just going to paint over them? That was more of an accident of having too much paint on my brush, just in a hurry to just paint the whole thing, and just went right over the eyes. So not going to do that for the next guys. I'll go back and do the eyes again later on this with a detail brush. But other than that, as you can see, I pretty much covered the entire body except for the gun and the backpack. It's a little bit of paint on the backpack. We'll go back with the detail brush and clean that up. And the gun's going to get painted later, being that it's on the outside, so it'll be okay. And we'll pretty much get to all that in just a little bit. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next guys. Now this guy at the beginning here, I'm just going to go ahead and do the head and get it out of the way and avoid the eyes like I should have done if I wasn't so lazy. But just as I showed in the brush basics tutorial, just keeping it at a sharp angle, keeping it away from those deep grooves along the eyes, and we should be alright. I need my light over here directly in front so you guys can see what's going on. By laying it on its side here, what you can actually see, I hope, is that the fibers of the brush are actually deflecting over the eyes and away from them, so I don't have to worry about hitting them again. So you're looking at right there in its most basic concept, we have the eyes showing perfectly fine. Now you've actually made them look a little bit better because we've covered up some of the mistakes I made with the red. So looking pretty good so far. I'll go ahead and clean it off. Actually, you know what, I'll go ahead while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and take the detail brush while I have it wet and just go ahead and handle these other guys' faces here and get them around the eyes so we don't have to worry about doing this again. Now they all look like some sort of superheroes. They've got this green mask around red eyes. Alright, so here are our four Dark Angels troops. They've just got a base coat of the dark green and the red around the eyes, except for the guy standing right back here at the back. I accidentally went over his red eyes, but that's okay. And another thing I want to go over real quick while we have a chance. Now, some people may be wondering why I'm not being detail-oriented with these. Now, I think it should be fairly self-explanatory, but everybody doesn't want to go through... Okay, I don't want to say everybody. Some people do, but not everybody wants to go through and spend hours and hours and hours on each individual troop. I mean, some people have... If you're a Imperial Guard, you've got hundreds of these. Orcs, you've got hundreds of these. You really don't want to go through. You want to get something basic that looks decent, that you can get away with, you can get done in a decent amount of time. So right now, so this is kind of how I typically do it for large groups. I'll go through and use one color and basically paint everybody. Base coat of green or base coat of whatever color it is on everybody. Everybody gets that color. So that's what we did here. That's what we have these four guys. They're painted up, we did their eyes, and actually they look like they're pretty well ready to go into battle just right off the bat as far as a really simple army goes. If all you can do is paint a base coat and then just put a coat of another color on, just the armor, if that's all you can do, go you. I mean, at least you're doing something and you're trying to customize it in a way, and then that's really all you need. Later on, when we actually get into guys like this that are certainly much more complicated with multiple layers, lots of detail, those guys, completely different story. You do not want to paint them in assembly line fashion. You want your main characters, your HQ units to look amazing. So that will be a lot more detail later, and we're going to go into detail. Do I really have a plan or a step-by-step process I go through with those guys? No, it's pretty much, oh, I need to paint that brown. Where's my brown? Oh, I need to paint that green. Okay, paint that green. Is it the most effective way to do it? Probably not, but hey, it gets the job done, and it's the way I do it. I think that's pretty much the best way. I'm going to give you a basis, or I'll give you maybe some ideas. You don't exactly have to do everything the exact way I do, but hey, if it helps you out, more power to you. Anyway, well, that'll be it for now. I know we just added one color, and it's pretty simple today, but tomorrow we'll hop on the red and the silver, and we'll get that started, and I'll see you next time.